What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, freedom means the freedom to be stupid. And that's what I want. It's Desra.
And sitting across from me is Brian Paul.
Stupid incarnate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Nailed it.
Is that a pen?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely the pen.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PSVR archives. We pull out a game at random, sometimes ridiculously new, like this week. We dust the blow off of it, and we decide whether it's worth your time. That being said, Des, what game did we decide to play this week?
We decided to talk about Penn Teller's F-U, U, U, and U.
Penn Teller's F...
And you actually have to say it like that.
I'm going to say it like that then.
Yeah.
Penn Teller's VR F-U, U, U, and U by Gearbox Publishing.
Or the frankly unfair, unkind, unnecessary, and underhanded. Yes.
Released on July 9th, 2019 for the very meager price of $19.99 US dollars. Some people are like, you're a bunch of liars. These games don't cost that much. And I was like, you live someplace else.
Yes. Centavos.
We're not liars. We just know what we know, and we don't know what you know. So maybe you're a liar.
And I think before we go talk about the game, I think we need to talk about how significant it is that this is a Gearbox game.
I need to know the significance of this.
Yes. So, Gearbox, very popular. You guys know, Borderlands, et cetera, et cetera. Randy Pitchford, the certainly kind of controversial CEO right now.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
But Randy Pitchford, to magicians, is actually famous for other reasons. He's actually a magician.
I love every second of this.
Yeah, really? You didn't know?
I know nothing about this.
So Randy Pitchford is a magician. Not only that, he is the owner of Genie Magazine.
I don't know what that is.
Genie Magazine is probably one of the most well-known, and until, a couple of years ago, there was a Magic Magazine also. But they're basically like physical, glossy, good old-fashioned magazine.
I miss those.
Yeah. It's the most well-known one for magicians right now. Yes, I know there are others. Just keep it to yourselves. But yeah, so Randy Pitchford also owns that and operates that. Not only that, his grand uncle, or great uncle, I guess whatever the term is for that, was Cardini.
Okay.
Which is, do yourself a favor, look up. He's an amazing card magician. He had this act where he was this like proper British gentleman, and his whole bit was like he came home drunk. And he was trying to like pull his gloves off, and they wouldn't come off. And just like, instead of just, ooh, here's cards, right? He was trying to get his gloves off, and like cards were coming out, and he was, just this wonderful, wonderful bit. So it's not just random that Gearbox is the one publishing it. It's actually like a labor of love. Randy Pitchford got together with Penn Teller, like, you guys love Magic. You always do a game kind of thing where whatever generation of technology comes out, I want you to work with me to make the version of what you do for VR.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
And just to kind of get this out of the way, the big video game thing that Penn and Teller are known for, is sort of an offshoot of this, which is Smoke and Mirrors. This did not come out. Let me rephrase.
Yes. That does not exist.
It doesn't exist, but you can totally find it online. It's plenty of reproductions out there. This is Smoke and Mirrors for the Sega CD. Now, the issue with this is that Penn and Teller were making this game. Again, very, very similar, actually, to F-U, U, U, and U. I hope I didn't miss a U. It's different ways to prank your friends and stupid things to have to do.
Yes.
But the one that everybody knows is Desert Bus, where you're driving a bus. What are the two destinations?
I think it's from Tucson to Vegas.
Yeah, I think so. And it's like an 8-hour trip.
8-hour trip
each way.
Yep.
And so when you get there, you have to turn around and get all the way back, and then you get 1 point.
Yes, but not
people,
only that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's not just it's 8 hours in real time on a perfectly straight road where nothing happens, but the bus drifts to the right. Just the slightest bit.
So you can't just hold the acceleration button. Nope. You have to keep tapping to the left. Because if you do go off the road, then you get towed out, and it takes, it's
in real time. So let's say you played it for 4.5 hours and you go off the road, then the tow truck comes and it tows you back that 4.5 hours.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is just, and this is a sign, a signal of their sense of humor. And I think this is going to be something we're going to be revisiting a lot, where this kind of existential joke they and I find hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I was saying when we were doing some of these mini games today about a different one that I think actually Desert Bus falls into the same category. It's very Andy Kaufman like.
Yes. Absolutely.
So if you find Andy Kaufman funny and you're not familiar with Penn Teller, you might want to be looking into Penn Teller because it all kind of like works together in that same vein of humor.
Yeah.
So we could talk about Smoke and Mirrors, but that's pointless because this game didn't really come out and it's for Sega CD.
Right.
And we're a PlayStation VR channel. So let's talk about this game.
Yeah.
Because it's not a game.
No.
What is this really?
So this is it is in the vein of Sega CD. It's in the vein of their books. If you have any of these,
This came prepared.
I did come prepared.
Ridiculous.
I'm going to put this, right out in the open. Penn and Teller are like one of the foundational documents to who I am as a person. Honestly, this and it's got the word Penn and Teller's How to Play with Your Food was the first Magic book I ever bought. They turned me on to Skepticism and James Randi, which broke my brain in a whole other way. Their sense of humor and their approach towards magic, and not just magic, is entertainment in general, I absolutely love. But all their merch they've ever put out, they're not just like, Siegfried and Roy or whatever, we're just going to slap our name on a magic kit and ship it out there and call it, or Chris Angel, there's a Chris Angel magic kit out there. Everything they've put out there has been to kind of transfer their philosophy of arts in the world, but also to screw with your friends. The entire books are these are all dedicated to bad things you can do to people you claim to like, and the Penn Teller FUUU is no different.
Yeah. So
with the added addition of VR, especially the PlayStation VR. It's just a magician's and a prankster's gift, because what you have is now someone you trust has said, I'm going to stand in a room with you with my eyes blocked, my ears covered, and you're in totally control of everything I see and hear.
Des and I have known each other for a while now.
Yes.
We've worked together for a couple of years. We've done this for a couple of years together.
Yes.
And we were standing in my living room, and I had my VR headset on, and I knew he was standing over here somewhere. And for the first time since meeting Des, I didn't trust him at all. It was the scariest thing to have a headset on and to know that your magician friend is about to mess with you. Because I purposefully didn't really play this ahead of time.
Right.
There were certain live streams I watched. There were certain games that I played just to kind of get a feel for it. There were some single player things to kind of do, and just to kind of, because the single player things are sort of Penn and Teller messing with you.
Yep.
And so those are the things I experienced before Des came over, and we kind of messed around with it a little bit. But that is sort of where the warning comes from. The warning for this entire episode, the warning for this entire game experience, whatever you want to call it, is that if you play this and you're not going to include your friends, if you just buy because you're like, I like Penn and Teller, I'm gonna play this, and it's gonna be a fun game, you're gonna hate this. And I will tell you right away that I'm not jumping to the end, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to think it's a 3. Because you can be like, what? This is stupid. This is garbage. This is dumb. It doesn't make any sense until you really kind of start diving deep into it. Yeah. The single player stuff, which we maybe can knock that out of the way.
Sure.
Knock that out. Yeah. I think the one that most people will talk about is Grime Fighters.
Grime Fighters, yes.
High-rise Grime Fighters or something along those lines. And you're basically a window washer on this kind of scaffolding. What are the things that rise that allow you to go from floor to floor? And so you go to the first floor, you're outside, and you're looking around, you're like, I'm pretty high up here. And you've got the window cleaner thing, and you can't see through it all. It's totally caked. It is just gunked with crap. It is the dirtiest building ever. and you're going, and as you do this, you're revealing what's inside the room.
Right.
And it starts, especially if you got like headphones on, like you're like, there's some creepy stuff going on in here.
Yeah.
You're shining, you got the squeegee in one hand and the flashlight in the other hand, and you looking around, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to kind of spoil stuff.
Yeah.
They're
just very creepy scenes that kind of build on each other.
And so for me, I'm going to say I enjoy Penn and Teller, but I certainly don't know 99% of what you know about Penn and Teller. Like I haven't seen most of their acts. I don't know. Like dark and disturbing fast.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is this kind of what they're about? Because I was surprised.
Yeah.
So, do we reveal the end of the Grime Fighter? What happens?
I will say, unfortunately, it is one of the things that you see in, like, if you look for any reviews or any promotional material, it is one of the things that's kind of spoiled right away. But,
I think this is going to be a spoilery kind of episode.
yeah, and
it kind of has to be.
And once we get past the solo stuff, we're going to talk pretty deep about the spoilers. So because there's, I mean, if you own this game, you won't be able to avoid this spoiler.
If you own this game, you should be spoiling everything for yourself before your friends come over.
Right.
So let's say that this show is a precursor
Yeah.
to you inviting your friends over.
Yes.
Okay, so you get to the top of the
Yeah.
So you're squeegeeing the window, and there's like blood dripping from a ceiling, and then like you're supposed to shine the flashlight on some specific item, so that you can hit the button and go up to the next floor, and it just gets creepier and darker, and then the last room is just a white room with a chair in it, but on the window itself it says "look up," and when you look up, there's somebody hanging over the edge clipping the wires to your scaffolding, and you go falling down. As you said, this is very Richie's Plank experience.
Yeah, and but also I will say, like, just another thing, it's not just someone clips, it is that perfect timing where it's just like you see that, and you can stand there looking at the look up for 2 hours and nothing will happen. But the moment you actually look up, and they must know exactly the amount of time it takes for a human brain to recognize an image. As soon as you see the scissors, it snips and you fall.
Yeah.
You have just enough time to go, oh. And if you're afraid of heights, or if you're getting emotionally involved in it, and it's what's cool about it is part of you, I think, expects the scare to be a jump scare. Or something where it's going to be like, oh, this is creepy and scary. It's creepier and scary. Oh, something's going to like
that
hit
last
the window.
or that last window. You're going to squeegee something, and something's going to be like right there in your face, and that's not it. So the tension keeps building, and you're waiting for that.
But then that doesn't happen. You're like, oh, okay, I guess this was it, and then you fall. Right.
Which is really like the best scary movies. They do the exact same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You turn around and nothing's there, but then 2 seconds later something crashes through the window. Yeah.
So I mean, this is going to be good for that kind of person. The person who's going to get scared by a fall in VR.
Yeah. I should probably say,
you
guys know me by now. I love scary things in VR. I love scary things in VR. Scary games, horror games in VR are my favorite thing on the face of the planet.
Yes.
They're better than scary movies for me. They're better than scary non-VR games. I live and die now for VR horror.
Yeah.
Today something weird happened, brought it to kind of a whole new level. It's a very, very simple game that Des was prepared for me to play. Okay, I definitely want to kind of walk through this a little bit.
Yeah.
So as we were saying, you want to go through all the tutorials and you want to know how to play all these games, and sometimes you need to be prepared with actual props. Yeah.
So actually, let's talk about the framing device. There are 2 games going on here. There is what your mark, or I think they call them chumps in the game.
That's me.
Will see when you fire up the game. Okay. There's also kind of little hidden menu, and you go to the hidden menu, and it's a beautiful recreation of their green room. I think they call it the monkey room at their is it the Rio? I think they're at in Vegas, and it's just a fantastic. Like I would love to go hang out there sometime. But you're in the monkey room, and it basically shows you 2 different videos for each bit or mini game. It's what the mark will see and what they'll experience, and then what you need to know to make their life miserable.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's a whole mechanic of building a playlist. So out of all the possible games and activities, you can pick, let's say, 5 of them and chain those together, so that when the person comes over, you don't have to hit any special buttons or anything. It's just, if you hit start game, it'll just automatically play that sequence that you picked out.
Right.
So all this is you need to do beforehand to get prepared. So that being said,
one of the first things we did was, I guess it was facing your fear of spiders.
Spiders, yes.
And it's like this very sort of rec room-ish looking like environment. It's not realistic. It's a like a 3rd grade play set. And in each hand you have, for your move controllers, by the way, 2 move controllers required, rolled up newspapers. And slowly but surely, spiders start dropping down from the ceiling. You need to hit them. And again, this is VR.
Right.
And so it's a little more creepy than it should be for being what it is. But as I was saying before, when you add a person in the room, I can play Resident Evil 7 all day, every day, and that's the scariest thing ever. But if there's somebody else in the room while I'm playing it, I'm always a little nervous that they're gonna like, hey, I'm like, like, because that alone, when you're not expecting it in VR, is like painful, right? It's like the worst jump scare ever. Again, it's not even part of the game. So knowing that Des was in the room and that he kind of had something to do with what was going on. Yeah. I mean, I am as much as I love scary games, I am the biggest scaredy cat ever. Right? Roller coasters, I turn white. Horror movies, I'm on the edge of my seat, holding on for dear life, and just So I was ready. I thought I was ready for anything, and then the tracking goes wonky. Yep. It's like this traditional screen pops up, says, not the tracking's off or whatever. Get back into the circle. Yep. And I was like, I think I'm in the circle. And Des was trying to help me, like, kind of positioning me. And I was like, I don't have tracking issues. Like, that's not my setup. I'm like, what's going on? And then, like, he's swatting a couple more spiders. And then it happens again. He comes over. He's like, I think you're supposed to stand here. And then, And it just seemed like it wasn't working properly at all. Until Des was like, okay, for this part I have to put the headset on. And I handed him the headset. I'm standing there watching him, and I looked up my arm, and there's like a big plastic spider on my arm. It was huge. It was like this big. and it was small, and it was but because now I'm out of the game, thinking, well, I'm safe. Yeah, no, like whatever Des was gonna do, it's over. But no, he was basically just waiting for me to react. Yeah. And I think I reacted accordingly. Yeah, no, there was a noise of actual fear. I wouldn't say it wasn't like a big dramatic scream, but it was, there was a guttural, unhappiness. And the thing I want to point out too is like, guttural unhappiness. Yeah, the spider one is a hard one to set up because you can't say, "Oh, we're playing the Penn Teller game," right? Because if you listen to the voiceover that they're doing, and even like all the framing, it is, "Oh, this is a demonstration of an exposure therapy thing." Right. So you need to really do this properly. You can't say, "Oh, we're going to play a VR game." You have to have this queued up already and say, "Oh, check this out. Oh, you have your, like, oh, what's the word? Like snobby friend who's like, I don't really do video games." Like, no, there's, do the whole spiel about, there's so many other uses for VR than games. This is actually this tech demo I got for like a psychological like exposure therapy thing, and do all that. And then, to spoil it, I guess if you're buying this, you're going to know. What you do is you basically, you take some cheap rubber spiders, whatever, you put some double stick tape on them, and then you can control when the tracking issue happens. We should say you do not require just Move controllers. You need Move controllers and a DualShock 4 if you want to use all the bits. And so as they're playing, I'm controlling when he gets the out of thing. And I was able to play Brian a little bit and say, oh god, I don't know what's going on with this game. Like the tracking of some of these is terrible. And so then what you do is, as you move your person away, you just just grab them and you've deposited the sticky thing. Then at the end of the demo, it basically pops up a little email. If you're interested, contact Dr. Who. And so that's the point where they would take off the headset. And then usually in that action, it's on their hand, or even better, a few beats later, like what happened with Brian, then they see it and they're scared. But it's important to know, it's not just like if I say, oh, here's the Penn and Teller game, do this, instantly, they're going to be a little more suspicious. Suspicious, yeah. Yeah, and also I got to say, I don't think a lot of people will be able to pull this off as seamlessly as you did. Like you've got experience in magic. Yeah. And I think just going through the tutorial and saying, oh, I have to do that, I don't think most people are going to be able to nail it the first time. Right. And I think that's a problem. Well, because most people aren't going to have like multiple chances to get this right. Mm-hmm. I'd say with the spider one, yes, that one definitely takes some subtlety to set up. But I think the best one is also the easiest, and it's the one they show you when you first fire it up, is the bullet catch. Yeah. That it takes no effort on your part. It is right on its face. It's a Penn and Teller thing. It's so distracting for your mark.
that they never ever see it coming, and it's so beautifully made.
Well, since it's something that you'll see no matter what, whether for your first time playing, maybe should we tell them about it?
Yeah. So basically, what your mark sees is basically the mouth's eye view from Teller, doing when they're doing the bullet catch.
Right.
Okay, they do a very famous double bullet catch. He basically Penn does this whole spiel that he actually does for the show, and they have your mark has the move controller. When they pull the trigger, the mouth closes. Okay, and they have it's kind of a semi quick time event. What you set up is like, oh, I have my move controller here. I'm the one shooting. When I'm going to aim the gun, I'm going to pull the trigger. When I pull the trigger, you'll see the bullet come out. And when it comes to a certain distance, like there'll be a green ring around it, and you're supposed to pull the trigger and close the jaws to bite.
And I will say,
yeah,
kind of a cool looking
it is
VR experience.
Yeah.
Right, because you're inside Teller's mouth.
It's Teller's mouth, yeah.
And if you catch it in a tooth, then sometimes a piece of the tooth goes flying off.
It's all dripping blood.
Yeah. It's a funny, goofy looking thing, and it looks pretty good in VR.
And so you do that a few times, and then all of a sudden, Penn comes out and says, "Oh, we're going to do something no one's ever done. We're going to do it with a shotgun." And the virtual Penn hands you the shotgun, and your mark is sitting there ready. And of course, all these bullets come flying, and your mark feels boom, something actually hit them at that moment.
Because Des threw something at his wife.
Because Des throws something at you. And so what they do is after the first 3 shots happen on the social screen, it says, okay, the next one's going to happen. You put your controller down, and it takes away the tracking of the actual controller. And so the virtual gun is floating as if you were still standing there holding the gun.
Right.
And then you can either just kind of grab the person, or when I did it to Amanda, I just had a balled up T-shirt. I threw at her, and it's just a thing of beauty.
The scream was incredible.
Yeah, it really is, because it's so visceral. It's unexpected. You're expecting you're going to have a little bit of oh, this is going to be scary, but you're not expecting physical reinforcement of that fear, and it's. I wish we could have done that to you.
Yeah.
But you can't trigger that back screen without seeing that, because that's their example of how to do it.
Rest assured, I would have screamed.
Yeah. I think it would be impossible for someone not to have a reaction. Like even I would jump if I had. Oh yeah.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
And so now you said specifically before you came over, you should check out this and this, on your own. And one of the things you told me to check out was the Penn Teller cup and balls.
Yes.
Now, this is a little strange because the deal is that this isn't like VR video. There's actual. Right. They've rendered models of Penn and Teller that look like maybe they're from last generation shoved into VR. Yeah. They don't look great.
No.
They're obviously voiced by Penn and Teller themselves, but it gets a little wonky. And so when I was watching the cup and balls thing, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, this is a trick that is very easy to demonstrate with 3D models, because you can make things disappear and reappear whenever you want to. I would have much preferred to see this as 3D video, as VR video.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But I'm a little curious to know why I was supposed to watch this.
I just wanted to see from an outsider perspective what you thought of it. Yeah.
I don't know what was going. So they do this huge trick with like solo cups.
Yep.
And balled up aluminum foil balls. And they're moving them from place to place, and they're appearing on top of the cups, beneath the cups. Bigger aluminum balls are suddenly appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then there's a baseball that appears, and I was like, well, I have no idea how they did this.
Yeah.
And then they do it with clear plastic cups, so you can actually see inside.
Clear plastic cups.
And I will tell you right now that it did not make a difference whatsoever for me. And in fact, I might have been more confused as to how the trick was done by seeing through the cup. It's the sleight of hand. The non-stop sleight of hand is ridiculous, and this is kind of why I wanted to see an actual video of them doing it, so I could watch it slower and actually see the things appearing and disappearing from their hands, because the items were actually blinking into existence and blinking out of existence when they were doing their movements.
Okay. this isn't just any trick from their like repertoire. This is the trick that really made them. Is the cups and balls, because as they say, like, you know, there was one of the things I've said probably many times, and I totally stole from them, is people asking like, oh, how is that trick done? And I don't keep the secret because I'm smart and you're dumb, ha ha ha. It's because once you know how a trick is done, like 99% of all tricks, it's just like, really? That's what you did?
Yeah.
It's so garbage and sneaky, and it's just like, really? But there are a few where it's like, oh, that's actually really, really cool. And their perspective is, you know, I want to be an entertainer. I want to entertain. So if the secret is better than the trick, then by God, you're an entertainer. Show them the secret. And so the cups and balls comes from, you know, they were seeing how beautiful and flawless Teller's execution was. And I think, if I remember correctly, it did come with, like, they were just practicing in a hotel room, and all they had was the clear cups. And so he did it with a clear. I was like, oh, wait, that actually looks really good. And so, and you got, as far as the trick goes, you got exactly what they were going for. What I thought, I actually completely agree with you. I wish it was a live action 3D VR. Like, we have the technology, we've seen it before. Yeah. It was strange that it was they were rendered characters. That I honestly, and I'm glad you came away with that too. I was really excited about this. Like, yeah, I want a chance to stand right there as they're doing it. But the fact that they were rendered characters doing it, I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely kind of pulled you like out of the immersion.
It did. It did a lot. It did a lot. So,
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm ready to rate this right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about Penn Teller all day.
Well, I mean, we can do a Litterbox episode.
Oh my God, we should.
All right. Well, let's rate it. What's our rating scale?
Rating scale is pretty easy to understand. A 1 is yes, you need to buy this. This is just the best of the best in the medium. If you have a PSVR, this should be in your catalog already. 2 is, yeah, sure, why not? If it's on sale at a decent price, or if it's a genre that you particularly like, go ahead and pick it up. And a 3 is no, do not buy this game. Friends don't let friends buy crap. We need to vote with our wallets and tell these developers that we deserve better. So, 1, 2, or 3? What do you think?
I give this game a 12.
A 12.
A 12 in the sense that every time Des pulls out a deck of cards,
yeah,
or anytime he goes, I'm going to do a trick, or anytime I say, Des, can you do a trick for me? I turn into a 12-year-old. Yeah. I'm hypnotized, revert right back to how just as mesmerized and just as into magic as I was when I was 12.
Cool.
Right? And it turns me into a little kid. And I love that. That's why I've never, for all the magic tricks I've ever seen in my life, I've never looked up. Because we all have Google. We can all find out how these tricks are done like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, snapping. I don't know what just happened. Please snap it back. Thank you. And so I don't want to know how tricks are done. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of leaves me in a weird position with this game.
Yes.
Because to fully enjoy this, you need to let someone do stuff to you, which means you shouldn't have been the one buying the game.
Right.
Or you need to go and figure out what these tricks are all about, what it requires of you to pull it off successfully, and like ruin the trick for yourself. I think this is the definition of a 2, because as you said, it's a game or a genre you that you probably like.
Yeah.
And I think that is everything here. Mm-hmm. Like, if you love playing tricks on your friends, if you love being a magician, if you want to learn some cool little, party tricks, or especially if you like Penn and Teller, that helps too. These are very specific things.
It is.
And so it's an experience for a very specific person.
Yes.
I think for most people, this is going to be a 3. But as far as our rating system's concerned, it's not really for me. Because again, I want to be on the entertained side of things instead of the entertainer side of things. Yeah. So for me to rate this for this show, it's a 2. If you're the person like Des that you want to really put on a show for your friends, because I have a feeling you're going to be saying a lot of the same things I am, then this is a 2.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, you're just going to want to watch Penn Teller do cool things, and that's going to be good enough for you. So yeah, it's a 2, and it's a really awkward 2. Even though it's like the definition of a 2,
Yeah.
it's still like it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah. So I'll say, like, I think you put it very well. I mean, this is not a sit there and passively experience this game. It's not even to sit there and play this game. Like, if you buy this game, you are not the one who's going to be using it.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it definitely it smacks of the Richie's Plank experience in that. Like, this isn't a game that you're going to buy and sit there and play by yourself. This is something that needs to happen with guests over. Honestly, some of these are best with a party. Like, with not just one person, multiple people. There is one that really doesn't work. So we tried it, the rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau.
Yeah.
It kind of works with 2 people, but it works best with a whole party of people. Because basically, I'll spoil this one. It sets up a thing where you're doing a virtual rock, paper, scissors. I have a move controller. Your Mark has a move controller, and you're playing. And for the first, however long you want to go, it's legit. Like, I'm actually, hitting buttons and trying to beat you. At some point, you can basically turn on this auto thing, and it will let your opponent win every time.
I think I was losing.
Lose every time. Sorry, other way around. Yeah.
But it automatically plays for you.
It automatically plays for it. So you can put the controller down, and again, just like in the bullet catch, they don't know, like, this position stays up here. And then, their recommendation, and I strongly support this, is if you're in a party, then signal to everyone else in the room to just leave.
Leave quietly.
And this is the thing, like, this is their sense of humor and my sense of humor. I love this kind of existential joke. There is no punchline. Okay? It's just, how long are they going to sit there playing by themselves?
Right.
And then, let's say it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they take out the headset and realize they've been in an empty room for who knows how long.
Playing against nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of joke that could very, very easily be done at someone. And if you do that, you're an asshole. Okay. This is not the way to, like, this is someone you actually care about. You have to do this. Because if you do this because you want to make someone who feels bad about themselves feel worse about themselves, you're a bad person. Okay. But if it's, I want to get one over on my friend Brian, then yes, by all means. Okay. So that's a long way of saying I agree with Brian 100%. I don't think it's a 3 at all, though, because like a 3 is, this game is just broken and a piece of crap.
Right.
This game is not broken and a piece of crap. This game does exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
I swear we need to rephrase 3, because I gave Ancient Emulator a 3.
Yeah.
Broken. But yeah, I agree with you.
But this is a 2. It's for very specific. For me, oh my God, this is a 1. This is just in line with all these books and all. Just, if you like their sense of humor, I will take issue. Earlier said, it's probably not just worth watching. If you're a Penn and Teller fan, it is just worth watching and seeing, even if you're never going to use it, because there's like tons of video content, tons of like their humor, their aesthetics. So it'll be worth checking out. And for those of you really curious, you get to hear Teller's voice a lot. So yeah, it's a 2. If you're like me and you like their stuff, it's absolutely 1 you need to buy. But I'll be the first to say this is not for everybody. Yeah.
Cool.
That's it.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't need this, but I'm really glad it exists.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I did promise this. So in the spirit of their books, this is actually one of their first book, Cruel Tricks to Read to Your Friends.
So watching the monitor. This
is interesting. So did you know there's actually what do they call it? Monocular pigmentation. So there are inks that actually only your dominant eye can see. So we're gonna do this with everybody here. What I'd like you to do is, if you're right-handed, okay, because I don't know if you know, like, if you're right-handed, like, actually it's the left side of your brain is controlling your body, and if you're right-handed, your right side, or you're left-handed, your right side is dominant. If you're right-handed, your left side is dominant. I think I have that right. Okay.
I never know when to believe you anymore.
Yeah. Well, so what I want you to do is take your dominant. So if you're right-handed, I want you to close your left eye. If you're left-handed, I want you to close your right eye. Okay. I'm gonna give you a moment to do that. We're good. All right. So we got the dominant eye closed. I want you to take a look at this book here. I'm just gonna flip through the pages really quickly. It should look kind of garbled and nonsensy. Okay. It's sort of all grayed out if you're doing this properly. Okay, I'll do it again. So remember, we're keeping our dominant eye closed. All right. So now, what I'd like you to do, take a moment, kind of relax, shake your head out. Okay, and now I'd like you to open the other eye. So if you had your right eye closed before, I want you to close your left eye and vice versa. All right, and we're ready. Okay, excellent. We're ready. Go ahead and take a look at the book now. Isn't that amazing? Pretty cool, huh?
I don't know. Everything's blurry. I had my hand in my eye too high.
Ta-da! So that's the kind of thing they do, and yeah. Anyways, so Penn and Teller, they're amazing. I love those guys to death, and I love that this exists. So,
and I love that you had history on Randy Pitchford. Yeah, it's awesome. Good to know. Des Nugget of the day. That's for sure. All right, that pretty much does it for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR.
Sorry, what's happening? There was another Des Nugget that I didn't say.
We can edit it in.
Okay.
Right.
So another ultimate Des Nugget. If you've noticed, Penn in this game and in recent media appearances does not have a ponytail anymore.
No.
Do you know why?
No.
Because Randy Pitchford owns it. Yeah.
How much money do you have to own?
$25,000.
You just bought it from him?
So there's a movie that Penn and a partner are crowdfunding called Director's Cut. Penn is a big horror film buff, and there's going to be a horror film. They actually were going for $1 million. They got 1.6 million, but there's a special top tier like Uber donor thing. Both Penn and the other guy whose name escapes me had ponytails. If you were in that Uber donor level, you got to cut off and keep the ponytail.
Wow.
Randy Pitchford donated $25,000 and now has Penn's ponytail.
Do you frame something like that? Put it up in your office?
I don't know. Well, he had a great quote about, like some people spend this kind of money on like fancy cars and all that. And if that does it for you, great. I want something I'll be able to tell a story about.
I just want $25,000 to do something.
I know,
with.
right?
Yeah.
So anyways.
For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, where that's not how we end the show.
Yeah.
We always want to know what you thought of these things. Is this something that interests you? Is this something that you need to have?
This is a weird one.
Did you trick your friends? Did you get a chance to actually like learn the tricks and get people over? I know Dave Station did. He did a couple of the tricks. There's a video up on his channel, so check that out. But if you have any of your own stories to tell, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear how it went over for you.
I would love. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever like publish them or anything, but I would love to see videos of people's reactions, especially to the bullet catch. I want to see people.
Oh, I would definitely love to see videos. If you guys have any of your own live streams or let's plays, definitely leave links in the descriptions. Why not? Let's do that. Maybe we can make a little. But only
I don't want to watch it. I want to see the reaction in the real world, not the video game part.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because I know what the video game looks like. I want to see your friend.
There's probably very few of those.
Yeah.
So if you have friend reaction videos, post those links in the description. No, that's not what I meant. In the comments below. Wow, boy, oh boy, is it late. For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Des.
And we'll see you next week.